I'm Jay Fidell with a commentary on the danger of amnesia. We need to remember because, as George Santayana said, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. The benefit of modern civilization and all our miraculous technology is that it theoretically helps us remember and thus avoid reliving the past. But we seem to forget everything. We are quickly forgetting the lessons not only of World War II, but also those of Korea, Vietnam, and for that matter, Gulf I and Gulf II. Young people have no idea. Older people also forget, or they accept misinformation even when they should know better. That's probably worse than forgetting. Not only don't we know the truth, but we choose to remember only the falsehood. While we forget the atrocities of before, the world is turning cruel again. There is so much violence, even our outrage is forgotten. We used to say, never again, in an oath not to let these atrocities repeat. But if we have forgotten what we are not supposed to have ever again, that oath is meaningless. The likelihood is that we will have it again, whatever it is, even if it was really bad. In short, we haven't learned. It's like the winds of war. Great winds sweep over the world, pointing toward huge irresponsibility and ultimately conflagration. Kindness and caring, respect and tolerance are lost. Everyone for himself, where inhumanity is more in fashion. Use human shields, blow yourself up, and take with you as many others as you can. Terrorism. Torture, maim, and destroy your own people. Deny them any possibility of a normal life or education. The ends justify the means. It's the clash and the decompensation of our world while we watch it from the sidelines. Through amnesia, the best of times become the worst of times. In fact, however, there are no sidelines. Who will lead us to higher ground? The schools don't teach these things. The parents have forgotten. The reaches of our memory seem shorter. We are not only forgetful, we are tired of remembering. We don't want to hear about the bad old days again. We rely on thoughtless rationalization to be freed from the lessons of the past. Victory at sea is over. It was 70 years ago. No one thinks about it anymore. The Nazis are frozen stereotypes in old war movies, anti-heroes who have somehow lost their evil. Now the skinheads are back, and the synagogues are being attacked in Europe and even in this country. We have forgotten, and we are no longer afraid of repetition. Rather, we seem desperately afraid of doing something to head off the repetition. The world needs to remember the fear of yesteryear to avoid what caused it in the first place. We see so many examples of inhumanity these days, but we do so little to quell it. We let it go, like Chamberlain did. Remember him? The Jews remember. They remember the war and the Nazis and the methodical genocide. They remember being the object of unbelievable multi-generational hatred then and in the Middle East now, where people they hardly know have sworn to destroy them, to kill them every one, to push them into the sea, to make them disappear from the earth. Yes, even now, even today. No, they cannot afford to forget. Forgetting is the greatest risk of all. They must defend themselves. They must preserve their lives, families, homes, their society. They must survive. They must say, never again. It's as simple as that. But actually, this is not limited to the Jews. We must all remember so we don't have to relive an outrageous past. There's nothing in the human spirit, collectively or individually, that guarantees civil society or moral progress. We could fall back into the pit of hell, the state of nature, anytime. We, all of us who know this truth, need to work hard to avoid repetition of deception or evil. These are scary times, increasingly polarized, where the common good does get lost and no one seems to come to its aid. It's not about social justice or dissent or activist causes. It's about personal decency and moral courage, kindness, tolerance, every day. It's time for a fair appraisal of how long it's been since the Holocaust and how much we have forgotten and how dangerous it is to be without a moral compass. All this seems even more important these days when the shadow of overpopulation and undersupply undermines our future and confuses our perception, when shortages in food and water and the prospect of great biblical floods and climate changes threatens our quality of life, our peace, and our community, and also our species. We can and should expect these forerunners of apocalypse. It would be bad enough were we fresh out of the war, when we could remember the lessons of hardship, but it will be much worse in a world that has forgotten. Do you remember? Have you learned? Or are you just another victim of amnesia? Silence is not an option. I'm Jay Fidell with this Think Tech commentary.